Okay, we've got our development server running, and back in Sublime we're going to have a look at Sass. So if we go into the styles directory in the app directory and have a look at main SCSS, and you can see here it's similar to CSS, but there are a few things which are a little unusual. Like here there's a variable being defined, and otherwise it looks like normal CSS. There's some imports going on, which is importing Bootstrap. Now, one of the things that the development server allows us to do is to dynamically update settings, and it will reload the page in the browser each time we save some HTML or some Sass or some CSS or a script, and it gives us feedback. So as soon as we press save, so we could try adding a new background color to the page, and we could make this red, so F00, and save, and give that a second or so, and it will reload, recompile the CSS, and update the background color. Sass allows us to create variables which we can use throughout our application. So you can see here they've got padding left is 15 and padding right is 15. Clearly these two should really be the same value. So we could create a variable called, let's create one called my padding, and we'll set it equal to 20px, and now we can change these values here from 15 to being my padding, and let's create another one called my background, and we'll set this to be blue, 00 and F, and we can put this here and save. Give it a couple of seconds to recompile and reload, and so now we've got new padding somewhere, and also a blue background color. I'm going to change background color back to being white, and there we go. Now we can see here that these import statements at the top are importing some Sass style sheets from the Bower components. So let's have a look in the Bower components and Bootstrap components, Sass official vendor, assets, style sheets, Bootstrap. So official Bootstrap and vendor, and assets, and style sheets, and Bootstrap. And here we can see that though it's importing one file, that file is actually importing a whole load of other files. And one of the interesting files here is the variables file. So let's have a look at this to see something of how Sass works. You can see that this has got lots of variables associated with Twitter's Bootstrap, and Twitter Bootstrap is giving us things like these nice buttons and grids to lay out our page, and mouse over effects, and some of those things. It just gives you a nicer start sometimes than the plain HTML, plain default HTML with its sort of nasty grey buttons and things like that. So here you can see we've got values like grey, brand primary. Brand primary is the color which is used for buttons like these buttons at the top. And you shouldn't really edit these values in here, but we can override them if we define these values in our own main CSS before we import Bootstrap. That's what this default at the end of these variables means. It means if it's not already defined, then set it to be this sort of blue color here. So let's change our primary brand color. So we can take this variable here and go back into our main SCSS, and if we define it before the import and we go here and let's say we want our primary brand color to be orange, we can set red to be on full, and then yellow to be a half, and blue to be 0, and then we do save, and hopefully that will change the buttons throughout the whole app from being blue by default to being orange. And so you can see it's changed not just the buttons, but it's also changed the color of the text there. It would probably also change link colors if we had a link, and so it's like a nice easy way of changing various settings in a project. So I tend to recommend using Sass or another preprocessor in a project, because it vastly simplifies changing things like the padding throughout the whole project or the colors in a project.